I'm CD. I'm an alcoholic. I'm real glad to be here. Like I said, I really appreciate the dinner. It was nice. I don't have to cook. I don't have to do dishes. So I appreciate all that. I was my sobriety date is 5 January 1998, and in 1997 I promised my wife uh, November 17th. I had promised her that I was going to quit drinking. That lasted about 2 days. I thought up an excuse and I left the house and I got an 18 pack and I drove back over here. She lived in Biloxi at the time. And, I continued my drinking and all the other things that I was doing, that she was not aware of, you know, and I think about that sometimes, how I made those promises, and, she's my third wife. So, you know, I made promises to the other two too. So, it's the same thing, somebody was saying something about being the common denominator and a problem in here, and I was like, oh yeah, that was me. Yeah. So I know who I am. I know who I am. I'm a liar, drunk, and a cheat. That's exactly what I was. And I think about that today, and I was thinking about, I really don't want to get divorced a third time. I really didn't, I don't, you give away half your shit, excuse me, give away half of your stuff, a couple times, you don't want to do it another time, 'Cause each time I get less and less. Seems like they get more, you know. I gave away all my furniture a couple times. I gave away a home, I had to pay for a car I didn't get to drive. All these things happened to me, because of my drinking. It didn't happen. It didn't happen because of the circumstance. It happened to me because of my drinking, because of my actions and the things that I did. You know, the first time I really thought about it. Stop drinking was a second wife. She had called a preacher and he had come to the house to I guess they wanted to pray over me. Of course, I'm at the club, I come home, and this dude's sitting up in my living room. I'm saying, man, who you, man? And I was a little upset. I was a little upset, I was like, man, you got to get out of my house. You can't be up in here doing this. So I put the guy out, and she was real upset. She was, for like the 18th time, she said she's going to leave me. I said, she ain't going nowhere. I wasn't too worried about it, because of my arrogance, I wasn't too worried about it. But the thing is, we hadn't been getting along for years. We've been married then, I guess, 13, 14 years. We hadn't been getting along for years, and a whole lot of that, I'd say about 75% was me. 75% was me. I can't own it all because it takes two. But 75% of my problems was me in that situation. And a lot of other situations, DUIs and getting in fights and all those things, oh, that was 100% me. I know that about myself. That's 100% me. It's just like anything. My attitude sucked, and so if you ran into me and I was in a bad mood, your attitude's gonna suck too. And that's the truth. That's the truth. My upbringing. I should blame it on my upbringing. I was brought up. My mother dropped me off at my grandparents when I was a little kid. Never came back. She'd come visit once or twice a year, and I'm going like, why doesn't my mother want me? I always thought that, why didn't she want me? She kept my sister for a little while, but after 3 or 4 years, she dropped her off too. So we were both in the same boat. But the thing is, I used that for so many years to make an excuse, about why I couldn't succeed at what I did, because I was just angry. I was just angry and afraid. Those two things, angry and afraid, that's dangerous for the alcoholic, And I was an alcoholic from the time I was about 15 years old. I started drinking. I loved it. I said, I'm doing this every day. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I'm doing this every day. But I didn't get to do it every day. I only got to do it when I could get it. When I could get it. And I could get it most of the time. I didn't get drunk every time that I drank because I'd run out. I'd run out, and that used to make me angry. It's like going to the bar and having two drinks and you got to go. Man, that's awful. That's an awful feeling. It's an awful feeling, I'm going like, oh God, I can't believe what am I going to do with myself? The thing is, I remember my first son was born July 3rd, 1977. And I was drunk. It was close to the holiday, what am I going to do? I'm going to get drunk, And so there, my wife's in the hospital. Her water broke. She ruined my car. I'm mad at her. We're arguing going into the hospital. I'm mad about my car being messed up. She's mad about me being drunk. I mean, good God, think about that. You're having your first child born and you're drunk. I passed out. They had to wake me up so I could watch the child be born. That's how bad it was. And then, I went home and I celebrated. She was in the hospital for a couple of days. So I celebrated with my friends, hey, you're drunk now, and that's what I did. But, that's the way my wife went for a long time. And we ended up having 3 children together, and and I got 4 kids. I got one that just popped up a few years ago, I think 2006. I got a ding dong at the door, and I got a paternity suit, and I was like, "What is this?" And I had to tell my wife, my current wife here. She goes, "What is it?" I said, "It's a paternity suit." She said, "Are you the father?" I said, "I probably am." It's the first time I really told the truth about something. I didn't lie. I didn't lie. Because any other time, my wheels would be turning. I'd be thinking about, oh, I got to make this up. I got to make up something. I didn't lie. I didn't lie. And I said to myself, man, this Alcoholics Anonymous thing might work for me. I've told the truth and it didn't kill me. I didn't get shot. And flames didn't go up. She was upset. She was upset, but she wasn't upset. She was upset because she said, "I thought you only had 3 kids." Me too. You know, that's all I can say. Me too. You know, and I thought about that. Down the road, and I goes, man, I hope this doesn't happen again. Hope this doesn't happen again. So y'all now why all my marriages didn't work. It's because of me. It's because of me. Like I say, 75%. 25% was them because they was fool enough to marry me. That's just the way it is, But the thing is, I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, and at first, what happened to me, what really happened was that I ended up in the mental ward. I had a mental breakdown, and it was Christmas Day, 1997. We had been arguing about, I don't know, 7, 8 hours, and her parents had come to visit, and we were arguing. So, it was a horrible Christmas for all of us. It was a horrible Christmas for all of us. But the next day, I decided that I had to go. We were arguing, and I wasn't drinking. I hadn't drank for like 3 days. That's a long time for an alcoholic like me. I was about to go tilt, and I'm going like, man, I'm looking around the house and all the cabinets, and there's a bottle of vodka up there, and I drank it. I drank it, I was there. I drank it, I needed something. I needed something to help me, because I didn't know what to do without the alcohol. She told me I was a drunk and I needed to stop drinking. The thing is that I didn't want to stop drinking. My thoughts was I just won't drink around her. But the thing is, I just could not stop. It was impossible. It was impossible. So I drank for 5 or 6 days. I ended up in Tallahassee. I come to, I probably was in a blackout. Who knows? And I said, well, where's Eglin at? Because I was in the service at the time. And they said, well, it's about 125 miles that way. Oh, okay. So I drove back and I checked in the hospital. They checked my blood pressure, and they asked me my name. I don't know what I was talking, I was in black. I don't know what I was saying. And, next thing I know, I'm on the 4th floor, they feed me pills and putting me to bed. I woke up and there's a little person sitting there beside me. She's looking at me and I'm going, well, who are you? She goes, I'm your patient advocate. I said, what? She goes, yeah, I'm the person that's got to watch you. You were out of control when you got here. So I don't remember none of that. I don't remember none of that. What I remember is I got to get out of here. That's what I was thinking. I got to get out of here. And so they told me, said, well, we're going to go to group in the morning. And I said, okay, we'll go to group in the morning. So I got up and did whatever I had to do that morning and, went to group and acted a fool. And they set me in the corner, and I was there for about, I think, 11 days before I got the fog out. And those people told me, says, hey, there's something really wrong with you. You're going to have to stay a little longer, and I got upset. I said, I know I ain't crazy, and the thing is that I stayed a few more days and I guess I said the right words. I don't know what it was. I said the right words, and they said, okay, you can go, but you're gonna have to come back every day and talk to somebody. So I was good with that. So I'm good with that. I'll come back every day and talk to somebody. And then I did, and I did. But the thing is that before I left, the doctor said I needed to do something about my drinking, and my wife was sitting right there with me. So she goes, "Oh yeah, you can. I told you not to stop drinking." So I was pissed. I'm okay. I'm beat down now. I'm beat down, and then, I went through a whole lot of weird iterations. And I finally went to Alcoholics Anonymous. I went to outpatient treatment after that. And I was going and seeing a psychiatrist every day. All these things was happening to me. you know, and finally, somebody told me, said, you're just an alcoholic. That's what's wrong with you. You just don't want to admit it. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to admit that. So I finally went to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I'm gonna tell you how I got there. I got there because I was gonna make my wife go to Al-Anon. I had talked her into this. I goes, yeah, these people will help you with my drinking, and they'll, and you'll be okay with, me. And, he said, I'm trying to convince her. I'm trying to convince her with my horse shit. That's exactly what it was. It was horse shit. And, we go down there, it was in Shalimar. And, those people from Al-Anon didn't show, but them alcoholics was at their meeting, and she goes, well, let's go over here. I'm going, gee, so I went to the meeting, and, it was very uncomfortable. I'm in there sweating, because, I'm just like, I was so uncomfortable. And we get in there, and they're welcoming me. I'm like, why are you welcoming me? You don't even know me. You know, I'm doing everything I can not to get up and run out. I'm just screaming inside. It's like, it's my first meeting. And somebody said in the meeting, they said this, you never have to go to your first meeting again. And all I was thinking about, I ain't never coming back here. So you ain't got to worry about that one. I wasn't saying nothing. They asked me, they says, you have anything you like to tell us? I said, no, nothing. I got nothing. My wife goes, you're very rude. No, I don't want to go. I was uncomfortable. You know, but I had lied about going to meetings. I told her, yeah, I've been going to these meetings. And they say you need to go to Al-Anon. So you see, I'd already told a big fat lie. So I hadn't changed one bit. I was sober, but I hadn't changed one bit. Alcoholics Anonymous, I finally got a sponsor. And he was really old. He's probably 80, and this guy goes, man, I'll get this guy. He helped me out. He's a big book thumper. His book was all tore up, looked like he shredded. I go, man, he's really been carrying this book a long time. And the first thing I asked this guy, he goes, well, you'll do anything I'll tell you to do? I goes, yeah, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I did, just like every good alcoholic says. And, and to myself, I'm thinking to myself, I ain't doing none of this. I'm going to talk to him. But I told him at first, this is what I asked him. I said, well, you have to help me with something first. He goes, what? He says, I said, you got to help me with my marriage. And he looked at me and said, I've been married 6 times, man. I can't help you. I was so upset. I was like, this dude, I done picked the wrong guy. But he took me through the steps. They had a book study every Monday and Wednesday, and I went, and he took me through the steps, as far as he could, because I was very uncooperative. When he said, hey, I want you to write something out, it was like, picking up that pen was like picking up 400 pounds, man. I could hardly get the thing off the table. I'd scratch something down on the paper and go, this has got to be good enough, because that's all I'm writing. I'm not even telling my life story. I'm not having that. And the thing is all I did was not drink. I didn't do anything good for Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't do anything for me, because I was still restless, irritable, and discontent. And I was, and my wife had told me, don't come home. I was about to retire from the Air Force. She said, don't come home. I go, what? She goes, don't come home. I goes, damn, that means I'm going to have to do some things different, and I want to tell you, I would have never admitted this ever. But the thing is, I begged her to come home. She says, okay, you come home, you sleep in that other room, we'll work something out. I said, okay. So I went to Biloxi, came home, went down to the clubhouse, got me a sponsor, did all the things, that I didn't want to do, and I was starting to get really miserable. That's that, that self had come back. I said, well, I'm not drinking, so everything should be all right. I don't know why everything's not all right. Well, I hadn't changed any. I hadn't done a damn thing. I hadn't changed any. I was still that same person, and inside, I had all these fears. I had all this anger inside. I had all these resentments that I couldn't get rid of. I just couldn't get rid of them, and what I found out, I guess, I was the producer of my own confusion. A lot of people don't think that, but I produced all of that crap. And what I thought about, I started working the steps. I did the first step, second step, third step, went through the fourth step, half-assed it, just like we all do, I goes, yeah, I'm gonna do this, yeah. And the guy looked right at me. He goes, is that all? I said, oh yeah, man, I told you everything. He goes, well, that's a lie. I can tell just by the way you spoke. I goes, oh man, you know, um, and I love that man. I do. I love that man. That man helped me. He pointed out, whenever I open my mouth, he said, you're a liar. You open your mouth, you're lying. I said, I know, man. I said, I'm trying not to. I'm trying to do the best I can. I'll do it again and again and again and again. And that's what we did. So here's what he did. He made me go to all these places, man. We went to the VA to speak. We went to the Nut Hut to speak. You know, he made me do coffee at the Roundup. I hated doing coffee at the Roundup. He goes, it's not like he asked. He goes, you're doing coffee at the Roundup. This is like the day before the Roundup. You're doing coffee at the Roundup, man. I'll see you there. That's all he said. I ain't even bought a ticket for the Roundup. He goes, I go home, tell my wife, I'm going to be at this Roundup all weekend. She goes, really? I said, yeah, you can come by and check if you want, because I lost so much, hey, she was, but today, I look back on that, and that guy really helped me, because it helped me to be able to serve other people. Every meeting we went to, he made me wash the ashtrays. That's you can smoke back then, so I washed the ashtrays. They didn't have paper cups, they had real cups. You had to wash them, after the meeting, and and all I could wait for, because I can't wait till I get a few years and I have to do this shit no more. That's what I was thinking, man, I can't wait. I'm going to get me a sponsor. I'm going to work that fool to death. That was my thoughts, and the thing is, but that's not what happened. What happened was I kept doing all that stuff. You got something green over here, man. What is it? Okay. Is that what it is? It's me. But anyway, we went through all that, and I started working. I started liking doing service work, and I started liking other people, because I didn't like people. I didn't associate that much. I drank alone most of the time. If I was in a bar and you happen to be there and you're gonna buy me a drink, I'll talk to you. I'm a good alcoholic, but I like to do things alone, and I was that same way, all the time. I remember the days, when my kids, when they were young, and they go to their ball games and all that stuff, and I was always drunk, I was like, yeah, I could hear people, mumbling in the stands. Here comes Nate's drunk ass daddy. That's I was that guy. I was that guy. I look back on that and I think to myself, what an example I was. What an example I was. But that was then. I'm a totally different person today. And it's because of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I did it. It's a lot of work, staying sober and getting sober. You'll get sober, you'll have 5 years, and all of a sudden, something will come up. Something always comes up. You'll oh God, you're thinking to go back, because anytime we have like a little hiccup in our life, the first thing we go back is the alcoholic thinking. Every time that alcoholic thinking comes back, I go, oh, I'm gonna have to talk to my sponsor about this. I'm gonna have to work through this, or whatever. Today it's not so bad. My alcoholic thinking only lasts about 15 seconds. It used to last a long time. I had resentments, and I used to keep resentments all the time. I had 20 years of sobriety and got a resentment of a guy saying in the meeting, and I'm thinking about how I'm gonna assassinate him. I'm in the meeting, thinking, man, I ain't saying that. This guy just, I'd go in and see him, and just, I was so focused on that. That's something got to be wrong with me, because it couldn't have been him. He probably didn't even know it. That's how bad it was. I talked to my sponsor about it. He just laughed in my face. Because, man, what is wrong with you? He goes, that dude's crazy, man. Why are you so mad at him? I goes, oh man, I don't know. I just got caught up in it. I got caught up in my own crap. And in the day, when I think about that, my life is so much better today than it used to be. I remember my wife, she'd want to go places and do things, and on the weekend, and on Saturday, I didn't get up till 1 or 2 o'clock, because I was passed out drunk, and I didn't feel like getting up. And then the rest of the day, I'd be bitchy because I didn't feel good. and wonder why she didn't want to be around me. I goes, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Well, she should have been saying, what's wrong with you? Because I was hungover all the time. But you know, you know, we finally, when I actually went back home and started working the steps and started doing some things, things got different. What she said then to me, now I couldn't understand this at the moment. She goes, "You spend so much time with AA, you'd rather be with them than be with me." I got a little upset. I goes, "I'm sober for you." That's what I said to her. But really, I was sober for me. I'm sober for me. But now today, we got a good relationship because I do things that she wants to do. She says she wants to go somewhere, even if I don't want to go, I get my happy ass up and I go. This is gonna make her happy. And I ain't gonna, I'm not gonna be looking at that lip drag the ground when I come home. And that's the difference. And that's the difference. You know, like my birth family, those people, I shouldn't say those people, but my family, you don't get to choose them, they just come along with, your life. You don't get to choose those people. You don't get to choose your parents, and believe it or not, my wife told me this, you don't get to pick your parents. I was like, damn, what a profound thing. I couldn't believe she even said that to me. You know, we both got the same kind of background, parents who are off in left field and, all these things have gone through in their life, and she worked right through it. She's like a normal person. She don't even drink. She got a bottle of wine that's been in the refrigerator for like 3 years. She hadn't even opened it up yet. I'm going like, why is this in here? I'm thinking, to myself, you know, that would have lasted about, it wouldn't even cool down, you know. That's the way I drink, That wasn't going to be no extra anything at the house. But the thing is that the difference is today, when I started working the steps and actually doing them, and, you get to that point in your life when you think, I'm done with these steps, man. I don't have to do this no more. And I spent a little time away from AA, doing my own thing. I was getting an education, doing all kinds of things, and I'm thinking, man, I'm high and mighty or whatever, But the thing is that drive to drink came back. I mean, with a vengeance. I mean, first came the anger, the frustration, all kinds of things. I was like, oh, why am I so upset all the time? I couldn't sleep. All these things was bothering me. And finally one day, I was coming from Biloxi. We were moving back over here. I had a bunch of stuff on the trailer, and I had a blowout. And I'm out there kicking the truck. I'm mad because the tire broke. I'm talking to myself, and the policeman comes up and he goes, "What's wrong with you?" I go, "Man, I can't believe this tire blew out." He goes, "You're doing 80 miles an hour, man. You overloaded. What is wrong with you?" I was frustrated, so I went to a meeting that night. I called my sponsor. I went to a meeting. I met him, and we talked about it, and he says, can't get away from this program. This is a lifetime. This is a lifetime program. You can't just get away from it. You can't walk away from Alcoholics Anonymous. It doesn't work that way, because you're an alcoholic and you always will be one. And he told me that real sternly, and I was like, okay, I'll start going back to meetings again. And so I started going back to meetings. I started working through some more steps and some things that I left off the first time, and my life started getting better. I made amends with my parents and, my siblings and stuff. And, all these things happened, and my life started, it's kind of like the weight started lifting off me again. That first hit, the weight lifted off, and I think that's good enough. But the thing is that it can get better. It gets better all the time. No matter how long you've been in Alcoholics Anonymous, you got to still be doing it. So, I picked up this service work. I worked with drug court for about 13 years, until they threw me out of there, and they decided, it was the company. They decided, it's a contract. They decided that they didn't really need AA in there, because, we were telling them something different than they were telling them, I goes, okay. Everybody's like, well, aren't you mad? I goes, no, I'm not mad. It's a business. That's what they do. I wasn't even mad about it. I was like, geez, I got my Monday nights back. So I got to watch all the Monday night football games. I didn't miss I didn't miss any championships or anything, because I wasn't at drug court. But the thing is that, you know, I missed it. I did miss it. So I had to pick something else up. I had to pick something else up, and that's the way this program works. And and as life went on, I got a job and I worked for about 10 years at that job and I retired. I got hurt. Well, my back went out again. I got a lot of physical ailments. I'm a drunk, so we fall down a lot and we break stuff and wrecked a few cars, a few motorcycles. I'm kind of busted up. You know, the back went out. It was just a chore to get out to bed. Getting into bed was a chore too. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't lay down, I couldn't stand up. So it was sucking for me for a little while. But the thing is, I worked through that too. I went to all the doctors I had to go to, to do the things I had to do to get fixed. It's tolerable today. It's tolerable. That's what I can say. It's tolerable, and that's okay. And that's okay. That's what you have to do. But the thing is, during that time, my wife goes, "You sure you want to retire?" I'm like, "Oh yeah," Didn't think nothing of it. I was like, "Dang, yeah, I'll go ahead." So I've been retired about 5 years now. I'm like, shit, I can't believe it's been that long. Damn sure is nice though. I don't have to go to work. She gets up and goes to work in the morning. That's her problem. It's not mine. But the thing is, we've gotten to travel. We've been to. I mean, life is good. We've been to about 33 countries in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's been great. It's been great. When I was drinking, I went to all those countries when I was drinking. But I can tell you one thing. I can tell you what a bar is. I can tell you what a bar is in every airport. I can tell you all the flights I missed because I was drinking. I mean, they'd be calling my name. I'm like, who the hell is that? I missed a flight in Atlanta 3 days in a row. I go, man, how can you be this way? But I didn't think drinking was a problem for me. I really didn't. But the thing is, as I was working the steps and going through this thing, and I've been through this thing with a lot of men. I've been through this thing with a lot of men. Running through the steps again, and I still go to a book study once a week. A step study once a week. Because I need it. I need to be reminded who I am. I mean, there's no way that I could not keep going to AA and being a civil person. Even when I'm out of town or whatever, I'll go to a meeting. If I'm in a country, I just go sit in the meeting, I don't even know what language they be speaking. I'll be like, I understand the word they say. But, when they be shaking their head like this, I go, they talking about drinking. I went to Scotland, and they speak English. You can't understand the damn thing you're saying, though. But, it was fun. It was just fun being in there. It's fun to know, I got some place I can go. No matter where I am, I have some place I can go. And my wife even says, she go, aren't you going to go to a meeting? And I'll be looking at her going, damn, she wants me to go to a meeting. Must be something wrong with me. She wants me to go. But the thing is, she's looking out for me and for us, and that's different. That's different. My life is so different today. I got grown kids in their 40s. And, I got grandkids that are grown, two of them are still, they still in there, they still like me. One's 10 and one's 16. They still like me, the grown ones, I just laugh, when they tell me some crap, and, I got to watch my grandson get married in April. It was like, and I got to be present. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't embarrassing. I dressed up. I goes, man, I'm gonna dress up, man. I'm gonna wear my suit, man, because you're getting married. I'm gonna come looking good, So I did, and I had a great time. It was very pleasant. It was very pleasant. Got a new family, and everything, and it was very pleasant. And I would have never been like that if I'd have been drinking. Nobody would have wanted me to come. Nobody. We got travel buddies, and they're glad to travel with us. We've never gotten in an argument. We don't fuss about anything. We get we've been traveling for a few years together. It's working out great. Working out great. That would have never happened. None of that happens. That's the good stuff that happens after you get sober. You might get sick or have to go through some crap. But the thing is that stuff's temporary. Life is, goes on. If you dwell in the negative, you're going to live in it. And I used to dwell in it. So I know how bad that can be when you're just living in it. Oh, war with me, oh, war with me, deep dark depression, excessive misery. That's what I should say to myself. I was miserable. I was miserable. I had a roommate once, and he's a young guy. He think he's about 24, and I think I must have been 40. You know, I got put out the house, and he was getting a divorce, and he came home one night, and he goes, "Man, you're one miserable bastard." He was right. He was right. I'm sitting on the couch drinking, flipping my little 12 channels, bitching about everything, and thinking to myself, man, this is life. That is not life. That is not life. That's what I understand that today. You know, I go back and forth. I think about, how I was and what it is today. It's totally different. It's totally different. You know, I have so much fun. Even when things are bad, I can still have fun. I can laugh. I can laugh. I can laugh out. I can have a belly laugh. I can laugh out loud. I can come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I see y'all, and I go, man, y'all my people, man. I love y'all. I can tell a grown man I love him. I'll hug a grown man. All the things that I couldn't do before I got here. I can do all those things. I can do all those things, and I'm happy to do it. I remember my grandson used to hate when I used to kiss him, I goes, yeah, he's going to school. I kiss him, he'll go to school. Everybody's seeing this. I goes, yeah, they are. That's too bad. You just tell him your papa loves you. That's what I used to tell him. It was so much fun. It's amazing. But, you don't get this unless you work at it. I still have to work at it. And I look at this, and I look at it, and I look at the steps, and I think about that step one, powerless out of alcohol, I'm powerless. I'm powerless. And I used to wonder about that, how could I even say that I'm powerless over alcohol? I was, I had to drink. I couldn't go a day without a drink. And if I went a day without a drink, God, you didn't want to be around me. I was so angry and upset about it. But the thing is, today, I haven't had a drink in a long time, and I get up in the morning and I go look in the mirror, and it's got a little thing up there that says the problem, and it's me. It is. That's why it's the problem on it, because I'm looking right at it. And I say to myself, I got a good life today. What would a drink do for me? What would a drink do for me? Wouldn't do nothing for me. Just ruin everything I have. I might not go downhill right away, but it'd be fast. It'd be fast. And I know that about myself. So, I'm glad to know that. All I can say is, as long as I keep doing this thing, my life will get better. I used to have all those same things that everybody has, I don't think I'm good enough. Oh my God, I can't talk to those people and all these things. I used to couldn't speak in public, and Alcoholics Anonymous, I won't shut up, but the thing is, somebody told me one day, he says, I really don't want to speak. And he goes, yeah, you don't even shut up. Why would you want to speak? And that's the truth. But the thing is that I got this gift, by doing these steps. And if I stop doing these steps and stop doing these things, this gift will go away. Because I proved it to myself. The gift will start going away, and I'll revert back to what I was. And I don't like that. I don't like that picture. So I'm going to stay with it as long as I can, unless I lose my mind and not do it anymore. But the thing is that, I got a good relationship with my family. I have a good relationship with a woman that I've been with for 30 years. We celebrated 30 years in April. 30 years. That's a long time with the same person. That's a long time. And in a total, I've probably been married 45 years in total. But I only married to this one 30 years. The first couple, they kind of left quick. They were like, see ya. I don't blame them. The person who I was, God, I see people like that today. You see couples sitting in the car, they don't talk to each other. One's looking out this window, the other one's driving, trying to look out the other window so they don't have to talk to them. That was used to be me. I laugh about that. I tell my wife about that. They must be married. You can always tell when they're dating, they're talking. They're laughing and giggling, When they're married, you can tell. I goes, yeah, they married, man. She goes, how do you know that? I goes, that used to be us. We drove from Atlanta. She got mad at me in Atlanta one time, and we drove from Atlanta all the way back to Biloxi. She didn't say one word. the whole way. It was a silent ride. Just want to let you know. That's the way my life used to be. See, it's not like that now. It's not like that. It's way happier, and you don't have that feeling inside, that feeling of doom that you always get. I don't have that anymore. I don't have that anymore. Even if I'm about to have a car wreck, I'm thinking, man, I hope I don't hit that guy. I hope nobody gets hurt. You know, it's like, the other day I was riding my bike, a guy damn near run over me. I mean, he come zipping over in my lane. He didn't see me, but the thing is, I hit the brakes and he didn't hit me, and I was like, damn, thank God, I didn't get hit. You know, before I would have chased that dude down. He'd stopped at the red light, man. Oh man, I'd have been like a crazy man, kicking his car or whatever I had to do. I mean, just like a crazy person. That stuff doesn't happen anymore. I'm not saying I don't get upset. I'm saying I don't act crazy. That's the difference. What's the point? See, if I get upset inside, then I'm upset the rest of the day. That gives the other person or the situation all the power, and I have none. It's like when I had that resentment against that guy. I didn't sleep hardly any. I'm the one that's tired and frustrated and irritated. That dude didn't even know. That's just crazy. And I thought to myself, see, you got to do something different. So I had to think about that. I really did. And I've been, sober all that time and still acting crazy. That didn't make sense to me. I must need to do something different. Maybe I need to look at myself. So every now and then, I get out that pen and paper and I start writing, and always at the end of the sentence, I go, why? Why? And if I can't think of a reason, what's the point? What's the point? I got all kinds of crazy reasons, but they don't make sense. That's the thing. It don't make sense. But today, I look at it and I go, why? And I'm trying to get my wife to retire. She goes, well, I'm not ready to go yet. I goes, okay. So you can't complain. You can't complain. I listen to all the complaints anyway. Yeah. But the thing is, it's just funny, just funny. When you're ready to go. When you're ready to go. And that's the truth. I'm glad y'all asked me to come up and speak. It's been really pleasant. It's been a nice evening. And I just want to leave y'all with this, stay here. This stuff really works. Thank you so much for asking.